athlete, maybe we can apply this to other areas of our life too. We're thinking too much, right? Like we're in a conversation with someone, maybe it's an interview, and we're like interviewing ourselves while we're talking to the person because we're just like questioning ourselves. That's kind of a neurosis of society where we're just like in our head all the time, right? Well, cacao actually gets us out of that, and it's something called phenethylamines. That's another a meat neurotransmitter, which is actually what happens naturally when we're just really focused. So you know the whole thing about like being in the zone? Mm-hmm. That's actually, from my understanding, is a phenethylamine hit, right? We're being hit with phenethylamines. That was the connection I made, right? Because for years I've read so many books over the last 10 years on get in the zone and the zone diet and all these different things on how to get myself in that zone. And I could never quite do it. I've been meditating my whole life, by the way. Since I was a little kid, I've been like, doing it. And it's awesome. But now it's different. It's a different experience. Phenethylamines. And the last thing I'll hit on the whole anandamide thing, or I didn't mention anandamide, but there you go, the whole neurotransmitter thing, is there's another thing which is really interesting, which is anandamides. And anandamides are basically like, they're, how do I explain? They're like the love chemical. They're like that thing where, and phenethylamines are like that too. They're considered the love chemical, but I'd throw anandamide in there too, where it's like, it's this thing that gets stimulated in our brain during orgasms, during high experiences. It's like the euphoria, basically. Just to simplify it for you guys. It's like when you feel just like euphoric and you're just like, ugh, your heart breaks open. And it's like that. That's an anandamide. So to simplify all this stuff I'm talking about is like this one food is such a full spectrum source for not only nutrition but for life. And so taking it back to what I was talking about, how all these cultures throughout history have centered their life around this one food, now it's starting to make a lot more sense. You know, because some people look back and they're like, it's a bean, birds would like nibble on the cacao pod and monkeys would try to break it open or whatever people are saying. But how did these people come to this realization? I have a feeling that what happened was people just ended up just eating it and just getting a major download from the universe. And take that for whatever you want. Take that however you want, whatever your belief system is. That's what I believe because it happened to me. I mean, like, I'm actually coming full circle with a book I've been working on. I'm one section away. I'm like, I have a book coming. I'm going to devour this book and then we're done. Right? It's a 500-page book edited. It's called The Live It Lifestyle. And I read this book and I'm just like, what? I can't even believe what I'm reading because it's almost like a channeled experience. Not to say like it's channeled, but there's something else going on. Have you guys ever had like thoughts come to you and you had no idea where those thoughts came from? Mm-hmm. Right? And then you put it into something. Like how did people like Leonardo da Vinci create, the greatest inventor of all time, who was a vegetarian, by the way, just throwing that out there. How did people like him and so many other people create just masterpieces that just can't be explained? You know, I believe we get certain downloads from something else going on, and I highly suspect that the things that we put into our body have a subtle or intense, if you let it, influence on our consciousness and how we're kind of expressing ourselves into the world. That makes sense? So, okay. So the short end of it all, everything that I've been up here going on about, is that I truly believe that this food is the number one food for our future, for human relations, men, women, men and men, because there's a huge wall there where people like have this like uber masculinity, or on the flip side, there's like a extreme femininity, and there's not a lot of balance. I do believe that cacao helps us kind of recalibrate that and get more into balance. There's the hormonal aspect plays into that too, I think. It's the number one thing for the environment, and that's a fact. That's a fact. Actually, I was reading sacredchocolate.com from Steve's website a little while ago. I put this little thing in my book where he put an article up how there's a reforestation mission operative going on right now to repopulate the planet with something like 1.5, 1.6 billion cacao trees by 2016. Because they realize that cacao is the number one food crop next to the coffee bean in the world. It's the number one. It's the most popular food ever. I mean, whether you're dealing with like the totally unconscious chocolate industry, all the way to what's going to replace that whole thing, which is the raw chocolate industry, it's going to be the number one thing. They're not going to outlaw chocolate. You know, they might try like, you know, arugula or something, but that's fine. But they're not going to outlaw chocolate. It's not going to happen. There's going to be a massive... You think like this whole like, we are 99% thing, movement going on right now, you think that's big? Try outlawing chocolate. You just wait. You're going to have so many angry women coming out like, no, we're not going to have it. They're going to have the kids with them, pitchforks. It's going to be a whole show.
No, we do not.
No, right? That and coffee are going to be the two things. But also, coffee is going to get replaced, too, by these amazing raw chocolate,
and
like
tea.
Herbal concoctions and tea. Well, that's what I'm getting to.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Right.
Hit it right on the head.
Yeah, all this, I mean, like, I could be up here babbling on like a maniac for all night long. But, you know, there's so much going on here with this. It's more than like lettuce. It's more than bananas. Actually, bananas are like going to be extinct. They're going out.
Too much sugar.
And it's just so synchronistic to me how this food that has been revered for throughout history is really like making a reintroduction when we need it the most.
Mm-hmm.
There has never been a time, maybe the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Okay, fine. Ever since like the Industrial Revolution, they probably should have. We needed it, but it's coming out now. When the repercussions of all that has gone full force. It's coming out now. And that gives me a huge inspiration to do the work that I do, and I know all the work that everyone here is doing as conscious, uplifting individuals to put out our message into the world. And that's the message of, that's my message of the night.
There you go.
The world's greatest food, without doubt, is chocolate. And that too, by the way, makes it a lot easier for a lot of people that want to be more like on the raw food side, more on like the vegetarian, vegan side. Because I know a lot of people, like getting real about it, as a nutritionist and someone who's not kind of caught in the left-wing box of like, oh, this is the only way, you got to do it this way, it's the only way of doing it. I do know that that's actually totally false. And people have different kind of needs. There's a lot of psychological things going on when it comes to food. Chocolate buffers that whole thing. Like, there's no way I could be, mostly vegan, vegetarian without chocolate. I'm telling you that right there. Raw food, no way. There's no way I would be a full-on raw food.